at times it needs to be invisible to the audience. So please share with us your responsibilities on the film.
Essentially, with stop motion, most of the characters they end up being really heavy, so they can't hold themselves up. Like Max, for example, is so big and fat that his legs are so tiny that you need a big rig to hold him up, because there's nothing you can do otherwise. He just falls over. His legs kind of snap a little, which is kind of a bit scary. But so I had to remove a lot of rig, and then basically anything that you couldn't achieve in camera is what we were in charge of, which is actually a lot, scarily enough. And hopefully you didn't notice mostly what we did. That was kind of the idea that I was going for overall.
How big is the size of the puppet?
Probably so he's not very big. Mostly we did everything in small scale, but there are some big scale stuff where we had to get really, really close to the puppets. So, Mary's head is like that big sometimes, almost life-size.
Have you worked on a feature film in this role before?
No, I think for a lot of the staff on the film it was basically a first feature. I know it's a first feature for Mel and Adam, so they kind of wanted to keep their philosophy there of just kind of giving people a chance. So for a lot of people it was their first time doing whatever job they had on the film, scarily enough.
Could you share with us briefly your professional experience prior to Mary Max?
Actually, I started on Mary Max while I was still studying, scarily enough. I actually left my final year to work on Mary Max, and basically haven't gone back since, of course. But yeah, that was a little scary. So no professional experience really before that.
So it's a good production for you?
I think so. Yeah. I think I lucked out.
How did you land yourself this role in Mary Max?
Scarily enough, it was just advertised. I applied, and my boss
papers?
No, email, and that was it was kind of nerve-wracking at the time, because I went in on, I think, a Friday, and they interviewed me, and then called me back Monday, and they're like, okay, you got the job. Then I had to move to Melbourne and go to America. It was all kind of really up and down at the time. It was a bit scary. Yeah. It's like, my boss is a strange guy like that. But I asked him, because when he offered me the job, I'm like, do you want to call my references? He's like, I don't care. I don't want to call your references. You can start it. Okay.
The director of Mary Max is Adam Elliott, and he has an extremely strong visual aesthetic mind. He was also the film production designer and character designer as well. Did you work directly with him and his storyboards? Tell us about your working relation with him.
Basically spent every single day with Adam for 14 months, and he has a very strong idea in mind of what he wants, but he has a very visual mind. So a lot of the time, I describe to him kind of, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and he just goes, I don't know, you have to give me a text, you have to do something like that, you have to put it on paper and show him, because he can draw amazingly well, so he can just, as soon as you give him a picture, he makes a decision straight away. So a lot of the time I spend down on the set with Adam and the DOP and things like that, just working the shots.
Thank you. Before we move on to more of my questions, do we have any questions from the audience?
Anybody? Just one. You can ask me anything, seriously. It doesn't even have to be about the film. I don't mind. Oh, there we go. Nothing.
How long did the production time take?
I think in terms of the animation, it took a year to shoot that film, because stop motion takes a long time. I mean, those animators were going really fast. They were aiming for, I think, 25 seconds a week, so that's 5 seconds a day, so that's 100 frames a day in 10 hours. So they're doing only 10 frames an hour. It's kind of like, okay, that's pretty slow, right? But it's also in terms of stop motion, that's very fast. I think my math is wrong. Never mind.
Firstly, I just want to say I really like the film. And the next thing is, where can we get the soundtrack?
The soundtrack is out, yeah, it is out on CD. You can actually get that. I'm not sure if it's here in Singapore, but it is definitely around. I think it's got most of the songs from the film, not all of them. I don't think they could get the rights for all of them, but yeah, it'll have the majority of the stuff on there.
And this will be, on the website or something?
Oh yeah, I think you might actually be able to buy it. Okay. No, you definitely can buy it from the website or Adam's website. It'll be on both of those, I think. I think Adam's also selling some wine and things like that now. A bit strange. I'm not sure if it'll be available to come from Australia to Singapore, but you can get wine and chocolate bullets, all kinds of things. Yeah.
I was wondering to what extent the movie was actually based based on a true story because the characters seem like kind of too dysfunctional to be true?
Adam actually is pretty strange in his own little way. You know, Adam does have a pen pal who actually has Asperger's, and it's actually really close. And he would still receive letters while we were making the film. And a couple of times he'd send letters in, and the letter would be something almost that Max had done in the film. Like, it totally fits the character. It's amazing how close that guy is actually to Max. And Mary is based on Adam, so Mary Max is basically him and his pen pal, straight up. Actually, he does know, and he doesn't care. As in, he just doesn't mind. He didn't want to see it. He didn't want any royalties, nothing like that. He wasn't very interested at all, I think. Strangely enough, you know, it's one of the film, I think, so maybe that's the aspect. I don't know. Beg your pardon? Oh no, I don't think they actually have. I think it's once again one of those things that Adams said. If I come there, can I see you? And he said, no, you can't. No, I don't think they've met yet to this day.
Okay, what would be a usual day for you during production? Like, which departments do you work with?
Pretty much all of them, strangely, except mainly. I didn't have much involvement with the art department except when we needed stuff made, like certain things for the sets, certain green screen stuff like that. But that was pretty much it. Mostly with the camera department and the post department, so editorial, visual effects, all that kind of stuff.
I had this question during the show, like, what is the most difficult scene for you to do? Which is the...
I think that also ties into that one question you asked me before, what would I change about the film? The hardest shot for me was definitely the K sequence. That's also the biggest shot in the film. It's the longest shot in the film. It's one single thing, and that was the final shot I did on the film with the pictures flying around and all that kind of stuff. I think I finished that while they were in colour grading, sadly enough. You know, it was that final point of the film, and they're like, yeah, we've had no more time. Okay, all right, and I just had to leave it at that point.
Scene where Mary wants to hang herself, and the camera was twirling around.
Yeah, that's it. It's still good though. That was definitely a difficult shot, I think, to actually pull off anyway.
Mary Max is the second animated stop motion feature film made in Australia. The first being 999, and it has taken almost 5 years from script to screen to make. And you were working during the entire 57 weeks of filming, which seems unusual for a post-production. Can you explain why?
Well, I think Mary Max was made on such a tight schedule and such a small budget that we kind of had to really, really push. So it made sense instead of like with other films, you know, you shoot everything and then you do the post, then you do the visual effects. Instead, we just kind of went, we're going to have to do it while we're shooting. So we had actual artists on doing shots while they were just shooting. So they finished a shot on the floor and someone was working on it within like, you know, a couple of hours, scarily enough sometimes. So it just made sense to save money to do everything at the same time. And, you know, I was there because it was down on set and things like that. And it was kind of, a lot of the visual effects weren't planned for, so I just had to be on the floor, just making decisions sometimes.
Are there, like, any unexpected problems that crop up that you didn't expect in the first place?
Well, I think that's like, one of the animators said to me, Darren Burgess, I think he put it best once. One time I just said, you know, there's all these things wrong with that show, but Mick, it's stop motion, things are going to go wrong. That's what happens, you know. The sets themselves, they move, you know, whereas in stop motion, because so little, if it moves a millimetre, you're going to see it on screen going a big, huge jump. So things just go wrong all the time. Unplanned things, yeah.
Do we have more questions from the audience?
How many people do you have in your team for visual effects?
I think, well, let's see, we had a total of 6, and we had 550 shots for 6 of us to do. So all of us probably did, I think I did 100 and something shots, and the others did about that as well, scarily enough, in probably like a, I don't know, 2 or 3 month period, they did about that now. It's a bit scary. 1 a day, or so.
The production had how many animators and how many cameras are rolling at the same time?
Well, we actually had, I think, 6 or 7 animators for some of the animation assistants. They count. And but concurrently, most of the time we have 6 stages running because there were 6 animators, but it got to the point where, because the camera team was much smaller, so we actually had a lot more stages than there were animators. So an animator would finish a shot and then straight away walk onto another shot, as opposed to the other way around where he's just kind of waiting and reading the book or whatever he likes to do.
Where does the shooting take place?
It was actually, we kind of renovated a big warehouse. It was a little scary. It's a very unassuming building that you wouldn't have known a movie was being shot in there at all. You have absolutely no idea. Even if I showed you a photo now, it's still, you don't know what's going on in that building. It could be anything. And they just kind of took it apart, ripped everything out, built some sets, and we had everything in there.